Okay, this is KP4MD. We're now live on YouTube.
Good evening. This is Neil, Kilo Lima 7 Hotel Quebec Romeo, your net control operator for this evening for the River City Amateur Radio Communication Society, SSTV, Slow Scan Television Net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesdays nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City ARCS members and all licensed radio amateur operators are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call signs in between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check in on the net at this time, please come now.
Alpha India 6, Delta Golf, good evening.
Good evening, Joel, AI6TG. Next station, please. Anybody else would like to participate on the SSTV net for tonight?
Yeah, this is KP4MD, Carolyn, Citrus Heights.
Good evening, Carol. KP4MD, I'll log myself in. Kilo Lima 7 Hotel Quebec Romeo. Anybody else? Looks like the three of us are here. I know Bob is playing. He has a playing job tonight. And I assume that Wilson is still in class. I was hoping Tom or KPAH could show up. Maybe they will a little bit later on. AI6DG, you were the first one, so if you're ready, please let us know what type of image, and please go ahead.
Let's do a tone test first. Is there a tone following?
Yes, sir. QSL on the tone.
PD 120.
Well, Joel, it came in at scale 7 HQR. Picture came in very well. Looks obviously another beautiful electronic project there. Let's go to Carol, KP4MD. Your comments, please.
Okay, yeah. This is KP4MD. I'm going to take a guess because I know that Joel is working on this project, the Hard Rock 500. And this looks like a power transistor in the lower left-hand corner with the output transformer there. The binocular, I could see the binocular core just above that. Those two transistors I see, right? They're one by the other. And up in the upper left-hand corner, there's a bunch of toroid inductors and relays, and I'm guessing that may be the low-pass filters for the different bands. This is what I'm guessing. And it looks like in the lower right-hand corner, there's a bunch of relays as well. And not quite sure what those would be for, but I'm counting on the low-pass filters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, probably for 11 different bands. And those other relays in the lower right-hand corner is 7. I'm counting 13, maybe 14, but I'm sure that has to do some other switching, perhaps, to the input of this amplifier. So I'm guessing this is the amplifier board that includes the low-pass filters for the Hard Rock 500. So back to net. This is KP4MD.
Roger, this is scale 7 HQR. Before any comments, are there any other stations that would like to participate in this SSTV Net tonight? Well, none heard. After that very clear description there from Carol, all I can do is talk about the quality of the picture. Yeah, it looks like a lot of toroids and relays, and I was thinking it was the picture came very, very, very few. Very clear view of the blue board with all the components. Not clear enough to be able to read anything, but very good definition on the color wires coming out on the middle top right there, going to the right hand side, probably power coming in. And so let me go back to Joel and see if he can clarify and confirm the I6DG KL7HQR and the net.
This is not the Hard Rock 500, although it's a good guess considering what I've shown. And I guess I have not actually shown you the RF board on the Hard Rock 500, but it has a separate low-pass filter board that I think, have I shown you that? Yeah, I'm not sure if I've shown you that either. I think I showed you what I showed you would have displayed the antenna tuning unit. This is actually my Flex 6500, and it was acting up at field day and actually before field day. It's got multiple fans in it, and they're smart fans, so the unit knows when the fans start acting up, either because they get clogged with dust or because they wear out. And both are possibilities. I mean, a lot of people that run the Flex 6000 series radios turn them on and never turn them off, so they're running all the time, fans spinning all the time, picking up dust and just plain wearing out. And there's actually a fairly common, not uncommon issue with the fans on them needing to be replaced. And to do that, you have to send them in. Although there are some guys, or at least one guy, who's found a source for the fans and talks you through, gives you instructions on replacing the fans yourself. But the main fan that goes out is usually these two little itty bitty fans that go on top of the FPGAs. And that's basically a circuit that does all of the the brains type of stuff with the digital processing. And unfortunately, the fan is glued to the chip, so it's very delicate, sensitive operation. I've not had to do that yet, but have had a few cases where the unit would not power back on after I turned it off, and it gives an error indicating a fan speed issue. And in fact, it did it at field day also. I had a little bit of excitement during field day due to that drop. Fortunately, I got by it by just turning it off again, kind of picking the rack that the flex was in and dropping it a couple inches. Yes, things like that do actually sometimes fix computers. And it started up the next time. But when I finally got it home, it did power up, but I decided to power it back down and take it all apart and clean all the dust out of it and clean the fans and so forth. And this is, I believe, the top of the unit. You can see the fans on the upper left and right with the red, yellow, and black power cables going to them. I'm assuming those are the low-pass filters on the upper left for the different bands. 2 power transistors just below the big toroid in the center lower left. And I don't know what that is on the right, but yeah, there's some more relays and some more toroids that you can just see the bare edge of. Actually, the SWR and power sensing toroids are the 2 blobs that are just below the yellow, black, red cables on the right. Surprisingly small. Got this all apart. Washed the 2 fans on this board. Actually, a quick spray in the sink. The 2 fans on the FPGAs and the rest of the unit I blew out with a straw. Basically squeeze the end of the straw, blow air through it, and direct the air out all over everything to have the dust fly over the place off the board. And if I had an air compressor, I'd use that very gently. And powered back on. So hopefully I didn't do any harm, and it's going to run just as well, if not better, for a more significant time, rather than having to send it in and have fans replaced. Back to net, AI6DG.
AI6DG, Roger. Any additional questions, Carol?
No questions, but I really should have guessed that it wasn't the Hard Rock 500, just from the form factor, because I can tell that this board is definitely wider than the enclosure for the Hard Rock 500. So yeah, I guess my next second guess would have been one of your other radios, probably the Flex, since I know your Flex has this kind of complexity. So back to net. This is KP4MT.
And this is Scale 7 HQR net control for tonight. Well, you have some very good cleaning abilities. It's interesting that you said that you did it on the sink. You know, here's my mind going into you soaking it under the faucet. But looks like you're cleaning it very well, because it's very shiny. And whenever I take things apart, I have taken things apart in the past to fix electronic devices, chances of survival is about 75%, so congratulations. Very well, Carol. If you have a picture, please go ahead. KP4MD, KL7HQR, and the net. very good copy, Carol. Came across beautifully. Looks like the PayPal is not too active tonight. Extremely sharp picture. Yeah, N6TG, please go ahead.
Well, I'm going to have to work off of the YouTube channel because what I received is barely discernible, heavily slanted and multiple tears. I don't know, 4 or 5 tears where I got breaks in continuity. So if I look at the YouTube image, I see what's probably a cast aluminum, looking down into a cast aluminum case, BNC on left on end right, a toroid with a lot of windings on it, a bunch of wires going in different places, a little circuit board on one side of the case with the switch that goes outside of the case, a resistor is just visible on the edge of the board, maybe some capacitors sticking out the bottom, if we're looking at the bottom, top of them. So, I'm assuming this is a matching or tuning unit of some kind. Maybe the switch is switching the circuitry in and out, and on the bottom would be, those are some little capacitors. They're sealed, so I can't tell for sure, but if they are that, then they would be for, I'm assuming, tuning it of some kind, but I doubt real time, so this is probably single band tuning, or something where you would tune it once and then just switch it in and out. Looking at the wiring is kind of interesting. Looks like you got one big heavy gauge wire going from one BNC ground to the other BNC ground. And nice job of whoever did this. I'm curious to know what it is. Back to net, AI6CG.
This is scale 7HQR. Yeah, good copy. Yeah, we can definitely see contrary to you, I had a perfect picture here, no problem at all. And as a matter of fact, I had a hard time getting on YouTube. Somehow I'm not properly tuned on YouTube. I have to find the proper channel. Trying to see I cannot read anything on the switch case there, but I definitely, the toroid with considerable windings, and as you said, the ground wire from one BNC to the other, and it's connected to a couple of the wires coming from the toroids, and looks like above the toroid, below the small PC board, looks like there is a continuous wire with little taps on it. That's what appears from the picture anyway. So curious. Back to you, Carol, for a confirmation. KP4MD, KL7HQR, and the net.
Okay, yeah, KL7HQR and the group. This is KP4MD. And yeah, I haven't shared this on Facebook or any of my other social networks yet. That's why Joel hasn't got a preview of this picture and an explanation. But this is the Chinese QRP antenna tuner that I bought from Amazon. It was $13. I think it's still out on sale. It just comes with this plastic box and the components, and you have to drill the holes in the case and mount the components in there and put the components on the little PC board and wire and solder the whole thing together. It's a T network. You see there the toroid in the center actually has 12 taps on it, and it is soldered onto a 12 position rotary switch which is underneath it, and you don't see that, of course. And then on either side of the toroid, left and right, there are polyvaricons. Those are the variable condensers that have the polyethylene sheets between the plates. Those are the kinds that you used to see in the old transistor radios. Now each one of those condensers, actually it's a two gang, 159 and one side is 159 and the other one is 41 picofarads, and they're wired in parallel to give a total of 200 picofarads per capacitor. And so it's a T network. The input of this is on the on the right side. It actually first goes through that little board. The board is a resistive bridge to give an indication of SWR. On the front side, we're looking in the back of the case here. On the front side of the case, there's a little LED that pokes through a hole, and when your SWR is high, it lights that little LED. So you tune the tuner to get minimum illumination on the LED, and then you switch the bridge out of the circuit so that it doesn't cause any attenuation. So that's what that switch is. In one position it's for adjusting the SWR, and then in the other position it's for normal. It just bypasses the resistive bridge and connects the signal directly to that polyvaricon on the right. And very good. Yeah, that was the layout that I did. They don't have a very they just have a general give you a general idea in the instructions of how the parts are going to fit in there, but your build, the way you wire it, is pretty much up to you. They don't specify that. Also, it's quite a project, and one of the challenges is that some of the instructions have errors in them because it looks like somebody wrote the original instructions in Chinese and run it through like Google Translate. So there are a few things that are incorrect, and that's one of the challenges to get it all working right. But this thing is working, and it was a lot of fun putting together. So back to net. This is KP4MT.
Any questions, Joel? AI6DG.
Sounds like you had fun building it and definitely had a desirable outcome in the construction. But that makes a lot more sense now that you're telling me that there's more stuff sticking out the back side. I thought those looked like the tuning capacitors I'd seen in the old style transistor radios. Yeah, okay, so it's not tuned to a one band, it's a big knob with those two on the back side to tune it for various frequencies, and then the switches to switch it in and out. It all makes sense. Thanks for the great description. AI6DG, back to net.
Scale 7HQR. Yeah, did you say this was for QRP, Carol? There's something to do with the utilizing for the Tuna 10S or any other project that you have going?
Yeah, I actually posted a message on the DIY radio groups.io about this thing. It's not a group build. I'm just suggesting if somebody wants to get a tuner that would work with their Tuna 10S, this would definitely work. I have to just say that the LED it requires a little bit more power than what the Tuna 10S puts out, because we only putting like half a watt at tops with the Tuna 10S, and the LED detector on this works a little bit better with like 5 watts. They recommend that this not be used any higher than 5 watts, though. Back to you.
Well, thank you. And again, fantastic, good quality there on the execution and the assembly of this thing, because if you said you had a lot of freedom on how to allocate the parts, and it looks very good, very organized. So let's see, is there anybody else on the frequency that would like to join us and participate on the SSTV Net tonight? Okay, looks like it's just us. I have pictures here that they're related. So if you're okay, there goes the first one on PD120. Let's see how that has gone up. I know the YouTube is still running, receiving the picture. So let me send it to KB4MD for any comments or questions. KL7HQR on the net.
Okay, this is KP4MD. Picture came through very well. Just a little, I think there was, I get a little bit of this multipath distortion once in a while. The signal drops out. There was one little very thin line across the center there. Now this looks like some kind of an archaeological structure. I'm thinking this is in Europe. I'm seeing some people standing on the extreme right-hand side. It looks like they're on an elevated platform. I'm going to guess that this is some kind of amphitheater. Perhaps I've seen one like this in Sicily, where one of the Greek theaters that they have dramatizations performed there, and some of these structures are quite well preserved. So that's what I'm guessing. It's one of those in kind of theaters in Europe where they perform dramas. So back to Nets, KP4MT.
Yeah, okay, Carol, before I send to Joel, your audio sometimes breaks, and I think it is, you indicated before that it is due to the situation that you have through the YouTube, handling the YouTube and repeater. But sometimes it breaks, and we missed one or two words that you said. But overall, heard very well. And Joel, I'm going to send it to you for your comments, and please let me know, how is my audio level tonight? Over.
I'd ask the same question. I'm on a different mic than I usually use. But both you and Carol are well, except for her occasional drops. And it usually was like a and we lose a couple of word or two, and then it comes back. So it might be a level thing or something going on. Yeah, something's going on. It's not terrible, but it is more of an annoyance. Okay, back to the image. Okay, I'm assuming this isn't Greek, but rather Roman. There are a number of well-preserved Roman amphitheaters all over the Roman part of the world in Europe where Rome had influence. This one looks particularly well preserved, although it's hard to tell how much of it is ancient and how much of it is rebuilt in more modern times. So we're standing kind of like behind and just to the side of the stage area of the amphitheater, and I see a little palm tree just poking out on the left. So maybe North Africa, or I guess you get palm trees in most of the Mediterranean portions of the Roman Empire. But yeah, I would guess Africa, North Africa, or how's it pronounced, Levant? I mean, anyway, I guess it could be in Turkey. Back to net, AS6TG.
This is Scale 7 HQR on the net. Yeah, both of you are correct. It is the remnants, the ruins of a Roman amphitheater. Actually, it's the theater. This was called the theater, and it is in the city of Caesarea. Caesarea is in Israel, just not too far from Tel Aviv, along the coast, and it's called Caesarea Maritima, and it was built by King Herod between 22 and 15 BC, and then it was in existence and very, very heavily used as a palace during all the way up to Pilatus, during the time of Christ. And this is just one picture. We had a chance to go through the whole area, and it's quite impressive. And there is nothing here that is modern. Maybe some of those squares up on top, and I believe they are just holding something. We didn't go all the way up there, but all the stones are exactly the same place. So quite an impressive place. If we have a chance, I have another picture of the same city. We're showing a different area, but good job, you guys got it well. So back to Joel. Only the three of us, and we have here I have 9:35. We have time for a couple more pictures. So if you have another one, Joel, please go ahead.
So that was pre-Roman, actually.
No, actually, is the Romans were there, and they actually a lot of the inscriptions are in Latin to show how much the Roman influence had already been in the area.
Well, wasn't Herod before Rome? Maybe I'm just mixing up my history.
No, I don't have the entire history. Maybe I want to go and read some of the plaques that are on the other pictures to clarify. But no, it's definitely part of the invasion, because the Romans were there way before Christ. And so anyway, I have to locate exactly the sequence of the kings there.
Okay, hang on, let me get a picture real quick.
This is Scale 7 HQR and the SSTV Net for N6NA. Anybody else that may be watching and listening and would like to participate? Nobody heard, so whenever you're ready, Joel, please go ahead. Scale 7 HQR came through beautifully, Joel. Clear blue skies, a few clouds. In the center, a statue of a horse with a twirling tail. It's white, so it looks like it would be marble or some kind of white stone, and very smooth. In a fountain. To the left, there is an elevated area with what appears to be a stone or a sculpture fence. An angel with a trumpet, and behind what appeared to be a relatively tall structure, and could be a fire place. Oh no, to the right-hand side, there is an elevated area which seems to be a passageway, and taller buildings, white facade, and with a painting of what appears to be a young face. And below there is right in front of the horse, there is some writings, but impossible to read. I have no idea what that is. Rome has lots and lots of fountains, but this does not look like a Roman fountain. Paris has a few, but if it is, I don't remember seeing this picture or this fountain anywhere. So it's a mystery to me. But the picture came through very beautifully. Now to Carol, KP4MD, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Neil, for the description. And yes, the problem with me breaking in and out is that I'm talking through the signal link, and it's the Vox in the signal link that's keying my push to talk. I don't have any physical control of the PTT, so it randomly, if I'm not talking and I just let my voice drop a moment, it's going to drop the push to talk. Yep, I see some kind of mythological creature. It looks like the front part of a horse, and the back part is like kind of a snake or something. I don't know if that's what that is. And from what I'm seeing on the right side, those look like hotels, high-rise buildings with a lot of floors. So I'm guessing this is some kind of a convention center because Joel, if it isn't a picture of a craggy mountaintop and it's someplace like this where you got a convention center, he's probably going to DEF CON or one of those other things, and he's taking pictures of the surroundings. So that's my guess. Back to Nets, KP4MD.
Okay. Back to you, Joe, to let us know. And I don't care where you took this picture. You better say that either Carol or I are correct, okay? Go ahead.
So if it's not Ham and not a mountain, then it's Las Vegas, and that's where this is. This is let's see here, northwest corner of Flamingo and Las Vegas Boulevard, which is the Strip. And this is one of the fountains at the Caesars Resort. I don't know if that's an angel with a trumpet. That doesn't seem in keeping with the Roman Caesars, the Caesars Roman theme, but could be, or is there a Roman or Greek figure with that plays a trumpet? This fountain, in my understanding, has actually been cleaned, so you might notice some brown gunk in the shadow on the left, and I assume that's all gone. I seriously doubt that any of these statues you're looking at are stone. I've actually seen in the Caesars Forum Mall some of the broken decorative pieces that make it obvious that they're just styrofoam shaped into form and then something painted over it to make it hard and look like stone. So I don't know if these are like that or not, but I'm sure there are some stone statues within the Caesars complex, but there's no way that they have large numbers of them. Even for them, that'd be a bit expensive. So the thing in the background crossing over on the right, middle right, is one of the causeways. Las Vegas is an extremely unfriendly to pedestrian city, so there wherever they can, they have causeways across the streets and completely separate pedestrians and traffic. The big face on the extreme right is of Donny Osmond, and that's on the front of the Flamingo Hotel. And Donny and Marie had a residency at Flamingo for many years. This is an old picture, so they're not there anymore. So you can see Donny, but not Marie. Cut Marie's face off. I believe Donny's back to a residency somewhere in Vegas or something in Vegas. Marie, though, I guess, got tired of it all. Understandable. And I'm assuming whatever the writing is actually probably on that you see under the causeway on the middle right in the blue and yellow. Blue and yellow. I'm assuming that's a truck or a display truck. I mean, they have these vehicles driving around up and down the strip that are basically mobile signs. Could be one of those. But this is my favorite. This is kind of a favorite spot of mine. I mean, it's a very pretty corner. I mean, you get some nice scenic spot views, and some things you can't just stop and not take a picture of. Back to net, AI6DG.
L7HQR. Yeah, boy, it's been so long since I have been in Vegas. For the last 20 years that I was traveling every weekend, almost once a month. For all those years, I would, at least once a month, I would change plane in Vegas, going and coming somewhere, but never left the airport. So, I think the last thing that I remember that was new, it was, I think MGM came in. We used to stay there, and don't remember the name of the one that looks like an old palace, and they have the right across from New York, and the MGM Grand. But what I remember, the Flamingo was not with this kind of facade. It was still the old with a flowery exterior. As far as Caesar Palace, I remember Caesar Palace and the Caesar Forum, but nothing else. So it looks like I need to go there. But beautiful picture, and I didn't realize you have those passage that passageway is over the street of the strip itself. So thanks, appreciate it. Any additional comments or questions, Carol?
Negative. Thank you for sharing that. And I didn't realize that Joel frequented Las Vegas for anything other than conventions. So back to that. KP for MD.
Go ahead, Joe.
I've actually been to Vegas in almost 2 years now because DEF CON got canceled last year. Let's see here. It's almost 2 years. It's not canceled this year, but they're scaling it down. And last year it was virtual. This time they're going to have some in-person presence and a virtual presence. So normally I only go to Vegas for DEF CON, but I've been there every year except for last year for the past, 23 years or something like that. And I try to, I eventually determined that running from the airport to the hotel, doing the convention, and then running back to the airport and never seeing the strip or anything. I mean, it was probably 10 years where I was doing that and never even got down to the strip. I finally figured out, well, this is nuts. So I started scheduling some days before and after to relax and play tourist. So it's much more pleasant to have a day off and just walk around and ride the bus and the tram or whatever and take pictures. It's what vacation's all about. I mean, back to net, the I6TG.
L7HQR. Do they have a tram or something along the strip now? I know that for quite some time they were discussing on putting a elevated tram there. Did they ever do it?
I don't think it's open yet. I mean, pretty much everything closed down for a year there, but they do have a monorail, and it runs from MGM all the way down to Sahara, and stops at a number of hotels, not all of them. The main issue is it's all the way in the back. So if you're on the strip, on the main strip, you have to find the nearest hotel, and then walk all the way to the back of where the tram or the monorail is. And it was pretty cool. I mean, I've been known to just get on it and ride it back and forth from one end to the next a couple times. I believe that it will be reopening, but it is scheduled to be demolished and closed. And I believe the intent is that they're in the process of building basically a subway system. They've expanded the convention center, and they connect the two halves of the convention center. Tesla has, their boring company has done bored tunnels, and they're going to be running Teslas from stations between the two Las Vegas Convention Center stations. There's a new station being built for the brand new Resorts World resort, which is brand new, just opened a month ago or so. And there's talk about continuing boring all the way from one end of the strip to the other and replacing, I guess, the monorail. I mean, which has been sold and bought by another company. Vegas never stands still. There's always interesting things going on. You don't go for 5 years, you come back, and there's parts of it you won't recognize. Back to Net AI6TG.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's been quite a while since I've been there, so interesting. I just saw a commentary about the Fontainebleau, which is the big hotel that they started building back in not too far from Circus there, about 2007, and it has been abandoned, still sitting there unfinished. So, anyway, back to SSTV. Carol, we still have time for one more picture if you have one, KB4MD. Scale 7 HQR. Very good reception, no problem at all, just a few artifacts. That makes things a little bit clearer, Carol. Joel, go ahead with your comments.
Yeah, why didn't you lead with this? Oh, wait a minute, it's not as interesting. But it does explain a lot more. So I'm assuming you tune the antenna for max noise on the reception, and then do a transmit and tune the TX for the dimmest LED. And that's after you've set the band to the appropriate, well, wherever you are, what band you're on. Do you have a line right through the knobs? I guess that was the repeater IDing. And this doesn't look like the case before. Is it the same case? Anyway, you're explaining that it was plastic explains why there was a big honking wire between the two BNC connectors. I was wondering why you had to, because it looked like it was a nice cast aluminum case. If it was plastic, then that explains the wire. But fun little project it looks like. Back to net, AI6DG.
Yeah, as I said, very clear picture, and that explains. I don't understand why A, B, C, D are on the one side, and there may be a convention on that lettering. But okay, Carol, let's see what you have to clarify on that. KP4MD, KL7HQR.
Okay, this is KP4MD. Yeah, this is the front of the box. The back of the box has a cover off, and yeah, the radio is connected to the left BNC here, and that what's called tune trans TRX just means that that's the capacitor on the transmitter side of the inductor, and the one on the right side is the capacitor on the antenna side of the inductor. And what's labeled as band actually should be labeled as inductor because it's not a fixed band for any one position. But the higher frequencies tend to be with lower inductance, and the higher inductance is for the lower frequencies. And that's it. I stuck a label over there, bright high and dim low, because the original lettering on there is in Chinese, and I was able to translate it by using the Google Translate app on my cell phone, which has, you could use it in a camera mode, and the camera just pointed towards the Chinese letters, and it translates for you right there on your screen of your smartphone and tells you what it says, because I don't know Chinese that well. And all the one on the left side that I don't have a label over just says standing wave indicator. That's those four little ideographs stand for. So so it was a fun little project to put together. Back to Net's KP4MD.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it is a little fun. I know there's got to be some good things about the new SMA connectors, but I sure miss the old BNC. Of course, a lot bulkier and etc., but I miss the old BNC connectors. Anyway, very good. And I think we have about 2 minutes to 10 o'clock. I will save my other pictures from Caesarea for the next week. And see if there are any additional comments from Joe or any additional items to bring up before we close the net. This is KL7HQR. Anybody?
AI6DG.
Go ahead, Joe.
So Carol, I take it the signal length, the Vox, doesn't have a time constant, so it's just pretty much turns immediately on and off, expecting either the absence or presence of a carrier.
Yeah, there is a time constant on there. Is a delay, but it's not adjustable, and sometimes it hangs. You see, I can just take a breath, and it doesn't hang up on me. But at random, it'll, for some reason, it'll drop. Just decide to drop after a syllable. Over.
So it's just really short and not consistent. I've got a little itty bitty USB sound card intended for ham radio that's got a PTT output on it, so it's really kind of neat. But I was hoping to use it for Vox for like these nets, but a similar issue. It expects a carrier. It doesn't expect a voice, and that's really what it's designed for, being a carrier. And in this case, having Vox didn't help me for the initial thing I wanted to use it with.
Yeah. I think probably an easier thing for me to do would just be to add a switch onto the signaling and just have a manual override for the push to talk when I'm talking over.
That sounds like what I'm doing. I mean, I've got a foot pedal kludged on top of a USB serial port that activates a relay. So either the COM port can activate the relay or it can activate the foot pedal. And so when I'm sending the slow scan through SSTV, the relay activates off the COM port. But for right now, when I'm talking, I push the foot pedal in it. But it's all going through the same. Those two cables, like the COM port cable and the foot pedal cable, are going to the same blob kind of wires and things soldered together. The thing goes into the data port on the radio I'm using.
Okay, that's something on my bucket list of things to do to resolve this little annoyance. So thank you, and thank you, Neil, very much for running the net. This is KP for MD.
AI6DG, back to net. Thanks for running the net.
No problem, having fun. So thanks, Carol. Thanks, Joel. And looking forward to having Wilson back in here, except that he's going to come back and try to do SSTV with Morse code. But it would be nice to have a bigger group again. So with that, we'll thank anybody that may or may not have been watching us on YouTube or may watch us on a later date. And this net will be back at 9 p.m. Pacific time on next Wednesday. And this time we close the N6NA SSTV Net. And 73, good night to everybody. It's scale 7 HQR now clear.